Hello, and welcome to the first online lecture for HSR130 Introduction to Language and Communication. My name is Marta Schroeder. I'm from the Department of Linguistics, and today I want to tell you a bit about what is communication. So first, I will describe to you what communication is. What do we call communication? You know that this course is called Language and Communication. So what is it? What are we going to be talking about? And then I will tell you a bit about the scientific model of communication called the SMRC Model. So when we look in a dictionary to see what communication is, we find this definition. Communication is the act of communicating with other people. That's not very helpful. What does it mean? And we have some examples. The whole problem arose from a lack of communication, or the internet is a very powerful instrument of communication, or we had no means of communication. So what is communication? Well, when we look at where the word comes from, it comes from the Latin word communicare, which means to share. So communication is about sharing. But what are we sharing when we communicate? Well, right now, I am communicating with you, sharing the definition of communication. So I am giving you some information. I could be talking about how I feel today. I could tell you about pretty much anything that I am thinking. So thoughts, feelings, information, ideas are the things that we share when we communicate. In other words, you could say any type of meaning is what can be shared in communication. So communication is about sharing meaning. How is the meaning shared? Meaning is something abstract. You can't just take a meaning and give it to someone like you would share a cake. So with information, with meaning, we have to find symbols that represent that meaning. And we can use words, we can use signs, we can use writing, we can use facial expression, gestures. We can use a lot of different symbols that represent the meaning that we want to share with someone. Who shares the meaning using symbols? Well, of course, people communicate, but not only people communicate. All living organisms communicate. Animals communicate. Cats and dogs and tigers and even bacteria communicate. But also machines can communicate. So your computer can communicate with your router, right? To get internet connection so that you can go on Blackboard and watch this video. Whenever there is anything that can send information and something that can receive the information, we can talk about communication. So anything or anyone who can make symbols and who can read symbols can participate in this sharing of meaning. So the things that are necessary for communication, the main 4 things that are absolutely necessary for communication, are included in the SMCR model of communication that was developed by Shannon and Weaver. S in this model stands for the source. And the source is basically the person that encodes the message, or in other words, takes a meaning and puts it into a symbol and sends the symbol out. So I can think of a cat and then remember the word cat and then say the word cat. I had a meaning, I put it into a symbol, and I sent that symbol out. The M in the SMCR model is the message. The message is the thing that I am sending. So the meaning that I intend to send to you, the meaning that the source wants to send, that is encoded in the symbol, is the message. So any word or a gesture or any symbol will be the message. The C in the SMCR model is for channel. Once I have a message, once I have the meaning and the symbol for it, I need something to send that message by. So I could say it, and then the sound, the air, will be the channel. But I could also write it in an email, or I could record it in a video like this, and this will also be the channel of communication. And finally, the R in the SMCR model is the receiver. And the receiver is the person who receives the message, who gets the message, and then decodes it. In other words, the person receives the symbol and translates it into the meaning. So based on the SMCR model, we can come up with a diagram like this to illustrate every type of communication. It starts with the source. So if I am the source, I can send any message. I have to come up with the meaning I want to say or send, and then I have to find the symbol for it. And that symbol and meaning are the message. Then I have to find the channel through which this message will be sent. And through this channel, this message will get to the receiver. And the receiver, hopefully, will decode the message. Now, this, of course, can only happen if the source and the receiver understand the symbols in the same way. That's why the symbol is so important in communication. And then after the receiver gets the message, he can give me feedback. So you can say, I didn't understand. And then I can try to explain it better. Or you can just respond to my message. And this way, you will then become the source who sends the message that comes to me as the receiver. So this is the basics of communication. And in the next lecture, you will learn about how communication is different from language. I'll see you there.